Hello, hello, hello. How are you, Thomas, today?
I'm great, Dharam. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, traveling in Sydney at the moment,
Traveling.
Sydney, Australia. Beautiful, sunny evening here.
Nice. Yeah, sunny and warm, and I'm in Germany. It's still a little bit cold, It's still not over winter time, but this time the winter was not so cold as it was in the years before.
Mm, good, 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 good. So, look, we have a very interesting topic today, and I don't want to delay too much. I want to get into that and get your best out of you on this topic.
Okay.
And and given that you are one of the passionate project manager who spend a lot of time in IBM, so I cannot find anybody else who can talk about this topic, passion for project management.
Yeah, I think, passion is something you find in project management, but also elsewhere. Passion is something, well, it's not rational, it's a feeling, an emotion that comes up, and maybe you can trigger it and try to increase it. And also you can develop some behaviors that create passion within you. You cannot fake it either. Sometimes you can try to do some nice things with your body, your mimics, and what you're talking about, but people will feel that, if
Mhm.
you are really passionate, or if you are just, trying to make the impression to be passionate. Passion is very much related to volunteerism, because why would you spend your time and your efforts on something you are not passionate about? So for free, not getting anything back except that you can have the nice feeling of being passionate, and giving something to people. It is often expressed. So if you look at your team or stakeholders and ask yourself, are they passionate? It's expressed by body language. You're using your hands, or how you speak. Your tone of your voice is getting louder, or whatever. What words you use, the behaviors. How you react to some triggers, your mimic, your energy you are putting out, and you can see passion with the actors, so you can bring yourself in a more passionate mood. So I'm not sure if it is the first time, but I experienced passion very early in my life when I was studying mathematics,
Mm.
and in mathematics you think it's a very dry, unpassionate thing. But no, if you have a problem and you're working on it and you're making some slight progress, you might become passionate about that mathematical problem. And I saw myself so many times, working all night and until I got it. And so this you cannot do it without passion, and passion expresses itself then, and you are in a kind of flow. Maybe you have experienced that. And flow is always a positive feeling. You think you are feeling great, and in the end you have achieved something, and you cannot stop, you cannot sleep, because all your brain is engaged on that topic. Passion is
Yeah,
also if you feel love for something or somebody, it's
yeah,
also passion and devotion, enthusiasm. But we have to be careful, because as it is an emotion, it's not rational. And if you are too passionate, if you are zealous, let's say, if you think about religions,
mm,
so that is also maybe sometimes a dangerous emotion, when you can really get into a mood, and you're trying to follow something that is really not having a positive impact on the world out of you, or on others. So I so the question is about how do we deal with our team members, how to make
yeah,
them passionate. And I'm not sure if we should try to make them passionate, because um, then they somehow get out of control, and they are passionate about something, but it's very emotional. And it's better if there is a balance. If you are still self-aware and can control yourself. So these two things, self-awareness, self-control from emotional intelligence, are very important. You might be emotional and passionate and full of energy, but you have to balance it out and have to keep it under control. If it gets out of control,
Yeah.
you see these riots, these masses, on the streets. They are passionate about a thing, but they're also dangerous as a group, as a mass, and
Oh,
don't want to get in in their path, And if
yeah.
if we
So
talk about, yeah, you wanna,
no, I want to say that because that passion, religious passion, or people feel passionate about countries. Those are great. They have their own meaning and their way. But when you talk about project management or your working life, somebody can say, "Well, how can you be passionate with you continue to do the same job day in, day out, high pressure environment, and you know, what? How can you?" My question, actually, like I actually think about the two things. Both start with P, pressure and passion. If you see something as pressure, then you will be stressed and anxiety and a lot of things happening, negative side. But when you get passionate about something, then it's a different view. I mean, even if
yeah,
you're working late night or weekend and this, because you're so much connected to that, and the energy coming out automatically. You have some setbacks, yes, no worries. You will come back. You will recover and keep going.
yeah, yeah,
But when you're under pressure, you find your stress, of course, and your problems, and you find reasons to come out of that because you cannot
yeah.
handle anymore.
True. So passion and pressure, as you put it, as two opposites. These are or stressors. If you see stressors that make you feeling bad, these are different perspectives on the same thing. So
Mm,
the fact is the same,
yeah,
but in the one way you see it as a danger, as a threat, as something that is disturbing you.
yeah,
VUCA.
yeah,
And on the other hand, you say, okay, I'm excited, I wanna tackle it, and I see it positively. It's also VUCA, it's the same VUCA, but the other one has a positive impression and the other a negative.
yeah,
So let me think about a very crazy example. For some reason you lose your leg, one of your legs, and so you're really desperate, and you limp around, you try really to keep a positive thing, but you can also say you are passionate about well, rebuilding your ability to move around. Then you can become passionate about it. And that many of these athletes or people who lost a leg or whatever, a limb, they are passionate about how to recover, maybe not to the level they have been before, but to a level that is really exciting for them, and they can still have a good life. So yeah, passion is only here, it's a
yeah,
perspective on anything, and it certainly helps to overcome things like depression or mental illness or something like that. Although it might also get into a mental illness itself.
yeah.
If you're too passionate, if you cannot observe yourself and keep that balance, then it's also dangerous, that you are
Uh, one
perhaps
thing
too
is
passionate.
when you say become too passionate, because the passion is now becoming pressure. That's where the problem starts. When you,
Mhm.
let's say you started your business, and you're a passionate, you helping, working, everything happening. Suddenly, in order to get more customer and you start making money, not making money, you start making the same pressure, passion now becoming pressure. So we need
Yeah.
to be careful about when you are going to other side. So passion comes from when you start believing in something, whether talk about religion or something, or I'm passionate about yoga or teaching,
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's good passion.
Well, I recall 25 years ago, I was the president of the PMI Frankfurt chapter, and so we visited from time to time a company and explaining what PMI is, because PMI was not very well known in our part of the world, and so I remember going to Frankfurt to a company called Sun Computers. I'm not sure if they exist anymore, but so maybe 10 people in the room, and the lead of the consulting business of them. And I explained about PMI. And then this guy told me, you are, give me the impression of being a priest. No, so because you're so passionate about it, is it a religion, a sect, or what is it? And so I apparently was passionate, and he saw that, but he was immediately suspicious about it. So that's the point about passionate people. You may be passionate, but maybe the other looks at you and says, okay, he's very engaged, emotional. Maybe that's not the best guy to talk about on a rational, on a fact-based thing. So it's also a caution about passion, Internally, you may be passionate, but be careful not to put it too much in the outside and put people off with that,
Yeah. No, that's a different story then, a different thing. And let's talk about this, continue with the topic. How can project managers strategically plan their career advancement beyond the project manager roles?
Yeah, I think, as I said some minutes ago, it's important to improve your self-awareness, for self-awareness to understand what feelings coming up now, and the self-control, balance it, and say, okay, do I want this feeling now to be shown to the outer world, or to determine my decisions, my actions? So the thing about mindfulness, what we do, that's very important, that you work on your self-awareness and self-control. And then you can try to become more passionate, but it's also a lifelong journey, because you have to have some feedback how you are perceived by others, and so if you want to plan your career, then it's important that you can show and lead others, and leading others is very much supported by appearing passionate, and being passionate, and showing them a role model, what you do, and also your emotions express your values a little bit, and how are you an integer person, an honest person, and so your emotions reflect what you want to be as a role model. And another hint, is more practical. From my experience, I was always, looking to improve my own career within IBM. So I changed IBM divisions, which is very rare, but I initiated it mostly. And the advice I can give you, in order to do that, you have to stay away from HR managers, because HR, the R stands for resource. They look at you as a resource, and your capabilities and the utility for the company. That's their main concern. It's not what you really are passionate about, what you can do, what you want, what your vocation is. Maybe they don't recognize it, and they want to put you on a position where the company needs you most. And that's very irrational. So try to be your own boss, try to be your own career manager. And that sometimes is difficult depending on the company. If they have a strong HR function, they try to put you in a career path, and they try to make sure you follow the training and go in this direction. They want to form you. And the in Germany, not sure if it's true today, but we have this famous company of SAP, doing the ERP things. And SAP used to hire only people that have no experience in other companies.
Wow.
Because they wanted to form the culture and the behaviors of these guys coming fresh from university. Yeah, and they didn't want to have people who had experience, let's say, with McKinsey or whatever, because they already are formed by these other good companies, and so to create a passion for your company, SAP, it's important that you are a blank sheet, a
Mhm.
green field, and then you can build your the values and the culture, the behaviors on that green field.
Yeah.
So just to say, if you want to be autonomous, you are somebody who says, okay, I'm an individual, I cherish my freedom, then maybe you stay away from people who want to form you.
It's an interesting perspective. I mean, I actually met with one guy, um, and you know him. I will tell you later. And when he came to me, he 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 said, Dharam, I'm already in this role. I'm a very senior person, but my aim is to get into this role, and I'm passionate about because I can see that I can make a difference there. And in that year, he already completed his certificate, PMP, ACP, RMP. Now he wanted to do pgmp and PFMP as well in the same year. He can, how these difficult exams. Anyway, because he was so committed and he know exactly where he's heading to, because he said, one year I want to complete all the five certificates. The next year I will get into the MBA, and my aim is to get into the next future C-level position. And I actually like this because he has very structured plan and he is
Mhm.
committed and he actually doing it. So in that year, in 2022, he completed the five certificate, including PGMP and PFMP. And with me, he
Amazing.
spent 72 days, two certificates done in 72 days, PGMP and PFMP. Um, and he is the one of the most busiest person. He is one of the most busiest person, always traveling, always in flight, or always in meeting. That where do you find the time? Look, Dharam, this is my personal, journey, and I'm passionate about it. And no matter what, I will find time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even I'm traveling in flight or going somewhere, your book, your videos are always with me. So I can whenever I get time, I just get into that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the passion about yourself, about your self-development, which
Yeah,
is needed to be successful in the end. Yeah, and you cannot let others, disturb that process too much. You can use
exactly.
others and maybe tell them what you want to achieve and how they can help you, but you're driving your own life, your own career, your own satisfaction in the end. And you also have, to the regard that that this guy, planned very exactly, what to achieve this year. I always was a little bit more flexible in that, so life
Yeah,
goes around, and then suddenly an opportunity pops up,
yeah,
and timing is everything. So if you are at this time passionate about something else, but you see that opportunity, you have to be open to reflect on it and to see, okay, is it something I want to jump on
yeah,
and leave the current path?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and also one yeah, capacity, I saw in myself all the time is I really can cut off old ties. So I can very quickly leave something I'm passionate about, yeah, and be passionate about something else. And that's also
exactly,
something, don't it's not a lifelong religion and passion.
exactly,
Maybe beside there is something about project management, that I'm passionate
exactly.
about.
Yeah,
And 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 and, and let me add something about volunteerism. I was when I was a chapter president, so let's say in 2001, 3, 4. I also had very critical IBM projects, IBM clients, which ate up a lot of time. And nevertheless, I spent 20 to 30 days a year on volunteering. And
mm.
people ask me, how do you do that? And I always answer, it's my life, and my life is not only IBM or my IBM clients, but
Yeah,
I'm trying to be diverse and more spread out. So that's also something people want. If you are passionate, you should not be passionate in only one direction, but have a wider goal.
Yeah. And one thing I like to warn people, like, how we see people growing, they're becoming what, from project to program and senior leaders, and they get, oh my God, if he can do, why can't I do? And then they start following their path. And that actually dangerous because they did because of passion and you're doing because of pressure. And you just say, and that's where I see people, Dharam, I have to do it no matter what, because I have to pass. Because everybody passing the exam, I have to pass. So that is dangerous. One is I'm doing it for something good cause. And I'm feeling good about it. I'm enjoying the learning. So I see the difference among those people which are enjoying and going through the journey. And even if they don't pass, they don't care, but they will try again. But when people are with they go to the exam, the whole night they did not sleep, go to the exam, they sleep, and they go crazy. And the amount of stress and pressure they create around them is so much. So much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sometimes, some people have the impression they have to control their lives, and not really take a risk too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are afraid of not being capable to fulfill that project needs, or have a private problem or a family problem. And so they mostly see problems, and that's to our view on perspectives. They
Yeah.
don't see the opportunities and the chances, the positive things in the situation.
Yeah. And just to conclude this, I want to mention this movie I was watching when I was coming to Sydney, and this is about this girl who lost her arm because whale, when she was surfing, whale or shark uh, took away the arm, and
Mhm.
and as you talked about, the some of the people with the no having leg, and she was initially, of course, miserable and anxiety, pressured. I don't know why it's happening to me, and I wanted to win this surfing race, whatever. And when she changed the perspective, she was angry, upset, everything. When she changed the perspective, the life can be different, and suddenly she find a different way of looking same thing, and the change happens. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it is. Change the perspective.
right, right. It's
Okay,
one of the most powerful capabilities in your life to survive and to thrive. Yeah.
exactly. So let me take you to the next question. How can project managers harness their passion for project management to effectively mitigate risk and address challenges encountered during the project lifecycle?
It's a long question.
Hmm.
Um, so how can I use and harness and increase my passion for project management to make sure that I'm capable of dealing with the risks that's coming up, but
Yeah.
also recognizing challenges, um, and yeah, judging about them. Are they a risk? I would add to that question, and how can we really acknowledge that there is an opportunity I want to jump on? That a risk is not only a threat, and this is the first thing. If you see ambiguity and insecurity only as a threat, you're already in one direction of the pressure. But if you can also see, okay, I see that. How can I use it? How can it be of a positive thing? And that's again the perception you have about a fact. So the other thing is you are doing that, and while doing that, you are increasing your tolerance for risk. And uh, look at the VUCA we are talking about, and I'm always saying VUCA is life, because without being embracing VUCA, we cannot live. We are on the graveyard. We are dead already if we are not. If we have
Hmm.
no velocity, no insecurity, we are not human anymore, or not living things. Um, Also, in order to increase your risk tolerance, you also have to be more creative. Increase your creativity, your try out new things, and be aware how these things have an impact, a potential impact on your life and on your capabilities to tackle more and a wider range of risks. Decision making is another point. How do you make decisions? And often, we are following processes. And decision making following processes is one of the worst thing you can do, because you are really limiting your options. A process is something that is good to be followed if you have repetitive decisions. If you just say, okay, can I give that credit to somebody or whatever. But if you really have life determining decisions, you should be very open and look at different options. So that's also increasing your resilience, because if you're just following one path and have one way to make your decisions and act on a certain way, you can be easily overthrown. The wind comes from the other side, and then the process is no longer working, and you have to find new ways of working. And that's what we learn, when we look at this digital agile thing, ways of working, that we say, okay, open up your mind. There was a management guru called Akov, and I'm not sure if you know him. Wrote a lot of books. He passed away 20 years or so, and he had a famous saying. It's better to dissolve a problem than to solve it. Because, and he said, dissolving a problem is done by changing the context and the situation and the timing. So sometimes we look at something, we say we have a problem. We don't know what to do. And then we try to find solutions and jump maybe at the first solution that comes to mind. And that's the worst thing that you can do. First jump to the first solution and then don't look for more options. But what Akov is saying, it's even not good to look for solutions at all, but look at the context and how this problem is framed. And maybe you can change the frame and the perspective on that problem. And I found, 50% of problems go away if you do that. So that is Akov's dissolution of problems. And problems also, problems are not facts. Problems are also something in our brains, only our perspective. So what I see as a problem, you might see as not a big thing. Yeah.
Maybe
So
opportunity, same thing.
Yeah. And coming back to the point of passion, if you are passionate, you are probably seeing a lot of more opportunities and interesting things than unsurmountable problems and hurdles.
Yeah. I want to give an example here. Like when I was working for HP back in 2010, they wanted to establish the cloud setup in Asia Pacific level in Australia, or and I was hired because I had a project data center experience. I have no idea about cloud, by the way. And in November, my manager's name Bob. He was in Melbourne, and he contacted me, Dharam. I know this is a very extremely high, like strategically very important for us, and the timelines are very, very critical. I said, what's the timeline? We have to have first data center by March, and I'm talking November, March, and the second data center fully connected by June. Fully connected. I'm talking new technology, no infrastructure. Actually, when I was given, no budget allocated, no resource allocated, and Bob is asking me, Dharam, can you do it? Can we do it? And there's a kids program called Bob the Builder, and he's like, can we do it? I said, yes, we can. and because actually that's true, and that's where I guess look, and I wanted to prove myself. If this is a new technology, I want to make sure this is successfully done, and I'm passionate. I know that I did no budget, no people, but and I got connected, and and finding, and when somebody say no, Dharam, this is not possible, let's find out how we can solve it and find the reason. I can keep talking about this. One of the things, when we are about to go live, and 7 days, actually the last few days. Everything was working except the backup. You know how important backup is in the data center. And whole HP team, including a European team, an American team, we are working on 24 by 7 for last, next 3 days. And I'm working and nobody's reaching anywhere. Then I said, you know what, let me try out something. This guy, one of the guys about to join my team, and he's going to look after the operation. Why don't I talk to him? And he said, Dharam, just give me half an hour, I will solve the problem. So the problem which was going for last 3, 4 days, talking to him and looking into that, and he came
Yeah.
and he solved the problem within and said, Dharam, all solved. So when the program finished, Bob was talking to me and I said, look, Dharam, I have worked with so many project managers. They sit behind the processes. Great process. Project management, PMI has done a great job. And I know you are passionate about PMI and PMP and all this kind of thing. But you said, I'm going to do it, and you made it possible. You could have sit behind the process and all this risk management, schedule management, and you made it possible. You actually deliver it. So that's where the difference comes, when you get connected with the end result, when you have the connected with the vision, then things happen very, very fast. You can make it happen, actually.
Right, right. Well, actually, IBM, when I was working, they had a international group of project managers. They called rednecks.
Mm,
So if there was a project in trouble, one of these rednecks came in and they solved the problem for
yeah,
management.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
maybe they did a lot of mess down there, but nevertheless, it's they were passionate and they were personalities, and they came in and they had a reputation of making things happen. And if I think it's a it's a bad image for project management, because project management is not a science, not a process. It's
yeah,
it's depending on people and on passionate people, who come in and just make it happen as you did,
yeah.
and the guy you talked with did. Yeah.
Okay, how can project managers effectively balance the demand of continuous project monitoring, client expectations, team dynamics, while fostering a supportive and productive work environment?
Wow, nice question. So you know, balance is what we do as humans all the time, and as project managers, the more, because you have many more balls in the air.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So the point of balancing is try and exercise juggling.
Mm,
Uh, give an example. You are negotiating something, and you have he wants that, you want that. We have two, three, four, five balls in the air. How to win that argument is to get more balls in the air, to offer more choices and more options. And so in the end, you will come to the things you can agree on. But if you only have one ball in the air, this about that you can discuss, you won't find a solution that is satisfying both parties. So yeah, how can we balance this? Get better in juggling. That's the
mm,
point. And don't and that means that you don't have to fear ambiguity or uncertainty. You have to embrace it. VUCA again. VUCA is life. Love VUCA, and because VUCA is a reason why you get passionate and why you will succeed in the end. Without having a lot of options and balls in the air, you cannot find the best solution. So what to do that? First defocus. Don't look at this one and two balls you have to balance, but bring more balls into the
mm,
whole full picture in your perspective. And exercise good timing is also one of the thing. It we have a lot of balls in the air, but in the end, it depends on do you have the right timing in your hands to catch them again.
yeah.
So timing is a very interesting thing. A process normally doesn't include timing. It's a sequence of causes and effects. But maybe, if you build a road through a landscape, maybe it's better to build it in summertime than in wintertime or in springtime, you know.
Yeah.
So it very much depends that you get a feeling on the flow of time and when is the appropriate time. Same thing to recognize and grasp opportunities, you know. So yeah, defocus, exercise good timing. And the third thing I would say to the question is, you know, be good in stakeholder engagement.
Oh,
And
yeah.
engagement means not only conveying information, you know, and sending out something, it's a two-way street. Also get the feedback and get the requirements and, you know, understand what's going on there and then try to influence. So that's stakeholder engagement, and you start doing this when you are a little kid, a toddler. You know, you're lying in your mother's arms, and your stakeholder engagement is crying loud because you're hungry. You know, and that's how we learn how to influence others, which are much more powerful and much more big, and they are really desperate to feed us. Then.
Okay, let me move to the next question. What factors contribute to the variance in project manager's salary? And how does the expected wages growth align with increasing demand for project-based work across industries?
Well, I might not be a good person to ask this question because, to be honest, in my whole career,
Yeah,
I never cared about money I get, you know.
yeah,
So people offered me money and I got enough. So I was not dissatisfied, but sometimes it was more, sometimes less. So money was never a criteria I selected the job for, you know, or I took an opportunity. And project management is also not about money. So if you are here to earn more money, and but project management is more about to have power about other people, to influence other people, to achieve something, you know, but not the salary you get. So if you want to increase your salary, so maybe I was lucky that I was employed by IBM, which has a
good
higher
salary.
salary level anyhow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but you know, it was not a criteria for me to go to IBM because they pay more, you know, but because the opportunities I would have there, and
yeah.
it proved right. So, what factors besides you know, choosing a good company, uh, there are external factors that determine what you will earn, what you will get. So it's the country where you are working. You know, I now have a guy coming from Mumbai, India, and he worked for the company there as a project manager. And then I helped him to move to Germany, and he has a job now in Germany, and
Mm,
he gets much more money, but comparable, you know, to the German project managers, he gets less.
mm,
So money is also a relative factor. You know, if you have more than before, you are happy. But even then, you may recognize after half a year you have less than your peers, and you're unhappy again. So it's uh, better don't care about it at all because you always can find comparisons that make you unhappy and comparisons that make you happy.
yeah,
Your reputation will certainly be a factor. So if you have past successes, if you have published, if you are known, if people talk about you positively, then probably you will have a chance to get more money, more
yeah.
salary. And internal factors are, you know, if you really want to earn more, well, if you really have this passion to earn more, then go back to your manager and work on them. Stakeholder engagement, again, you influence them, you know.
So I have a little bit different perspective, and you're lucky you got good job to start with. Then I have seen and I've gone through different jobs and in my career, and I can see how this um different thinking actually, or the certification level and the company you're working for, and you say IBM might be a good payer, some companies are good payer, some are not, and amount of work. So there's a demand. Project management is growing. Okay, believe it or not, while AI is taking over some of the things, but project management is growing, and salaries are also growing in this area. When I came to start with, what salary are you getting, what's in after, same level after, 10 years, 20 years, the salaries are gone up, maybe because of economic factors and other things. But most importantly, the demand of project managers increasing, of good project managers having good experience, certification, your PMP, pgmp, pfmp, and your attitude, how are you going to fit in the company is more important. Okay. Yes, while these certificates are important for them to differentiate, and also your learning from these certificate will be utilized or will be useful in your job, but how are you going to fit in the role, and how are you going to exceed your own expectations? So yeah, get yourself, of course, get experience, get some certificates behind your name, and learn from that. Not for the sake of having certificate. Learn from these certificate and become better project manager, program manager, portfolio manager.
Yeah, and I think you have to acquire the knowledge and the skills, but then you also have to practice it,
Yeah,
because that's the second thing. Without, how do you learn how to kiss? It's not reading in a book how to kiss, and having some instructions to do that. You can read that, and probably you do if you are 14 years old, but in the end, it's your practice, and the practice is even, not the same with every partner, so
yeah.
it's the experience that counts, really.
All right, so let me ask the next question. How do project management certification complement practical experiences in ensuring success? And what role does a balance between certification and hands-on experience play in the career advancement of project managers?
Yeah, that adds to last question we had. And
Yeah.
interestingly, this morning, before we started this discussion, I had a WhatsApp from one of my mentees. It's an U.S. American veteran, and he's now getting some money from the U.S. government to educate himself, to get certifications and training. And his question was actually, should I start working,
Hmm?
or should I continue educating myself and taking this advantage of these money and the classes? And my reply was, you have to do both. You have to work and to learn, and you have to move into a situation of lifelong learning. It's not something that you say I do learning for 10 years and then I'm start working. It will be too late. You have to earn practice before. Look at myself. I started studying mathematics in 1973, and it took me 10 years to complete the studies.
Oh.
But during the time, I was a half-time programmer, developer, software developer in a bank.
Mm.
So I had the experience of working. I had money, so I drove a BMW as a student. Not every student did that, and I was earning my own money, so I was not depending on my parents or other institutions, which gave me a sense of self-confidence. And also, studying mathematics is quite theoretical, and I couldn't use it in the job actually
Yeah.
very much. But studying mathematics also give you a kind of reputation. So, like a PGMP is doing, or a PMP, or the certificates. But I think you should try to do it in parallel, do it both, and
Yeah.
it also enabled me. We talked about juggling. We talked
Mm.
about looking at a job, but also volunteering and have this passion. It enabled me to have passion about myself, that I can do a lot of things in parallel. And I still do that today. I have a lot of things in parallel, and I can switch between having an interview with you or taking a webinar somewhere else, and it's a permanent switch between learning and doing.
Yeah. And I think we talked a little about this. But the certification is not just to have a certificate, just because everybody is having it. What you going to gain out of this? What learning you going to gain? Whatever certificate you select, PMP, pgmp, pfmp, you should believe in that and put your everything and make it possible. And it's not about just, as I said, it's not about just having a certificate. And what you want to do with this knowledge in your day-to-day job. Actually, when I talk about in my group mentor program or personal mentor program, I encourage people to use this knowledge in your day-to-day project program portfolio management. So become part of you, part of your DNA. So when you're doing the job, you don't have to think because that's already with you. So that mixing up of work and the learning from standards, so not as a PMI, there are other certificate level, can help you to do your job better. Okay, just be
Yeah,
careful, not for the sake of a certificate, but having a certificate for learning and
yeah.
be
Yeah,
passionate about that actually.
give you an example, about 1996, I started learning for the PMP exam.
Yeah,
And I read the PMBOK guide, and there was something very important, like earned value. The first
yes,
time I heard about that, and I learned about earned value. And in parallel, I was working for an insurance company and building up a PMO. And actually, what I did is implement the earned value system for that PMO, and it was quite interesting and successful, and it was appreciated. And everybody said, "Okay, this is something totally new in our environment," and it was. But that's the way, you learn about something, you say it sounds interesting, maybe it can help me on the job, and then you do it in parallel. And
yeah,
yeah, um, the certificate PMP was very, very important for me, for my self-confidence, and for my career. And I really appreciated I could do that in 98, got the certificate.
98,
And
probably first a few thousand people.
well, I think my PMP ID is 7,900 something. Yeah.
There you go.
So, oh,
So I'm going to take the next question. What key factors contribute to the success of project managers? And how does embracing adaptability and continuous learning enhances their effectiveness in navigating the complexity of the management?
yeah. Though the first thing is, what is success of a project manager? What is success of a project? And neither science nor practice agree on what success is, because success is maybe a floating concept.
Yeah.
What you see as a success in the beginning of your career and of your studies might have another view after 10 years or as you go. Or even now, as I'm retired, was I successful? Certainly. But did I think I was successful in between? Sometimes not. It's that I'm saying. Success is not a fixed phenomenon. It's
Yeah.
something we judge in every moment maybe differently. And so the question is, what key factors contribute to that? It's having a balance, embracing VUCA, being a leader, learning a lot of these project management techniques and methods and tools, and step out of the box. Just live your life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And also step out of the box. So if you have a career, in a company and working for clients, nevertheless, volunteer, step out of that environment, volunteer, use the volunteer environment as your sandbox for trying out things. That's what I did. And go out and attend project management conferences. Now we have the Berlin conference in the beginning of April. Very good chance to meet like-minded people, maybe to recognize somebody who is passionate, yeah, and talk to them. Yeah, maybe you'll get some ideas. And what I'm doing, I'm not suggesting anybody should do that, but I'm mentoring about 15 people in parallel, and there are some refugees, so people coming to Germany, from Syria, Iran, others, and I'm helping them to get into our society, to understand the German bureaucracy, to answer letters from uh, from of official things. So that is a success, that you just open up, diversify, and live your life.
Exactly. And yes, you're right. Success is a, is a mind, how you see things. You know, for a toddler, getting on the foot, start walking is success. And for a person who never speak in front of anybody, start speaking, on the stage, it's a
Yeah.
success. So, it's yeah, for the project management terms, of course, we talk about successfully completing the project on time, within budget, within quality expected, and has stakeholder satisfaction, that is a stakeholder, happy stakeholder. So they are, how you go to count. But yes, there are some measurable elements you can use it for your measuring are you successful or not. And yeah, and you mentioned
If you look at not project manager success, which is the question, but project success, all these big things like the Sydney Opera House or the
mm,
Hamburg Philharmonic or some airport somewhere, they are big failures in the terms of these success criteria set at the beginning, but the business case, they are not
yeah,
fulfilling the business case at all. But after 10 years, nobody cares, and people say that's a wonderful icon of our nation. And
yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes the same thing, same outcome, but you may be feeling that is a failure. But your customer, your client will say, "Hey, great, great, this is fantastic. This is what I'm looking for." So,
Yeah.
and this perspective of success and your perspective of success, and you said like Sydney Opera House, but when we built, it's one of the biggest failure with the over budget and time was blown away. But now everybody come to Sydney just to see the opera house
Yeah. Yeah.
because iconic building.
And tell you a secret, what I found out over my projects, sometimes project sponsors, they ask you to do something and give you this constraints and limits of budget and time. But they know, I give him a challenge, and if he doesn't meet it, so let's see how far it gets, and then he's still satisfied, maybe with half of the achievements. And
Exactly.
that what sponsors are thinking. If I'm a sponsor, I'm not honest. I'm really trying to create a challenge for the project manager, and then see how he or she performs, and then let's see what comes out of it. And they always have a reserve budget in their back pocket, and they have maybe some ideas what to do if there is a slippage in time, and if not, all of the scope will be delivered. What what always is important that you deliver good quality, because
Yeah,
if you deliver bad quality, then all the scope is not worth anything, and the budget also not, and things will deteriorate before they can really deliver value.
exactly. So how can project managers cultivate and sustain their passion amidst challenges, leveraging industry focus, technological advancement, collaborative partnerships, and efficient processes to drive project success and maintain high level of dedication?
So the first part of the question is how to look at my passion and nurture it, cultivate, sustain it, and uh, the key word here is love. Love what
Yeah.
you do, develop a love in you and a passion, and a compassion, to do something, and uh, that's driven by perspectives. That's driven by your network. People in the communities you live in, they have to help you develop this kind of love, and so love your team, love your customer, love what you do. The
Mm,
task, and love yourself. These are the four, I think, things you should start working on, and it's your self-awareness and your self-control, again, with emotional intelligence, what helps you as achieve that. And then, if you do that, I was jumping a lot from industry because you ask about industry focus. I was working for retail. I was working for insurance. I was working for government agencies. So, and I was just curious, coming in, knowing nothing about the industries, and I had to learn a lot, uh, and I was very honest. I said, I don't know nothing about the industry, but I'm a project manager. I
Yeah,
know how to make things happen, and that developed some kind of curiosity, how I will act, what I will bring in addition to what they know about the industries. They are a specialist anyhow, but I can help them to use that industry knowledge to make something new happen, and that's the benefit, And I only could do that because I had love for the profession of project management.
exactly. And as long as you're loved to the profession you are in, you can make things happen.
Yeah.
And again, that goes to the pressure versus passion.
Yeah, and this love again, it means that you not only focus on the task at hand of the project, but you widen up, and that's why I volunteered a lot, and
Mhm.
it was that's a really personal process because I got something from project management, from PMI, from the certifications, and I also gave something to these communities.
Exactly. And that's great actually. That's what anybody, when you gain out of your society and community and company, you give back one way or other. So that's what it is. I will take the last question. Okay. This is promise. How can project manager capitalize on emerging opportunities in diverse industries and regions, leveraging their skills to lead impactful projects or global team beyond traditional corporate advancement paths?
This question is about opportunities,
Hmm.
and we talked about these a little bit within the other answers and questions and discussions. I think it's opportunities are what makes your life fruitful, because you create something new. Without an opportunity, well, you will just, let's say, administer your life, and somebody else will tell you what to do. With a
Exactly.
few opportunities, you are more self-sustained and more free to choose your own path. Um, so how to capitalize on the opportunities? Well, first you have to recognize them and maybe have an idea. Okay, there is something coming up. It's popping up, and is there something I want to look to it? And I'm very passionate. I read a lot of articles and books about project management and culture and so on. I'm always passionate about ideas I didn't have before.
Yeah.
It's always something new, and then I'm trying to leverage it to create, let's say, a webinar about it, and share it with others and do that. So yesterday I had a webinar about the topic of what is wisdom and how
Hmm.
can we develop our wisdom,
Oh, wow.
and actually I got it from reading a book about wisdom from psychiatrists. They wrote it, and wisdom for them is the capability to master your life. you know so it's a antidote to a mental illness or mental problems. And they said, okay, to create wisdom is to get rid of your mental problems, to be a mentally stable person. And so they developed or they wrote about 10 different capabilities they want to build in their patients. So if somebody comes to them and is suicidal or has a other disturbance, has a lot of fears, phobia. So they are building on these 10 capabilities, the therapies, and trying to make these people more stable, and mentally safe. So I don't list down the 10 now, but the first one of these capabilities, very interesting, we discussed it before, is having a lot of perspectives, being able to switch a view, and being able to look at the same thing and see the positive sides and see the negative sides, and then choose what you want to pursue here. So that's the point, you have to understand what perspective you take on something that pops up, and understand, okay, this is an opportunity for me. That's a perspective I take with things that happen around me. And what's also important in that respect is what we also discussed before, is the aspect of timing. So am I able to recognize it, and is it the right timing to take that opportunity or not? So if I'm, for instance, I have a colleague who is doing SAP rollouts, and he had to roll out at the end of the year, so very busy and everything. And we discussed of having a webinar. So he said, I can't do it now, because I'm busy with my rollout cutover, and that's more important. So you take priorities, but these priorities are maybe not life priorities, but priorities uh, for the time frames you adjusted.
Yeah.
Well, you might take priorities for your life, so you make a decision you want to have kids, and then somehow you are committing yourself for the next 20 years at least,
Yeah.
to deal with these kids somehow, to make them happy and resilient and yeah, worthwhile.
Yeah. And look, as a project manager, there are lots of opportunities are coming. Yes, you have to open to learn and open to look beyond your traditional way of doing things. There are
Yeah,
many ways you can improve your project management. And given that things are becoming so global, everything is available on your fingertips. Your whether you are cloud-based technology and all kind of things are helping you to look for opportunities which are not just in your geography region, maybe beyond that. And somebody
yeah,
who's working in Mumbai or in
oh yeah,
Saudi Arabia, they want you to do a job for somebody else in the United States or Germany. They can easily do it now because they have the skills. And when they find a connection, and they don't have to travel anywhere nowadays, especially you're
yeah,
having your phone in your hand and having your WebEx or Zoom call, you can be anywhere. So
yeah,
look, my suggestion is, yeah, be open to learn and look for opportunities, not just in your area. And go out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself, and be passionate about whatever you do.
yeah. Right. Extend your network,
Yeah,
learn a lot about other people, and collaborate with them maybe. Um, Look at other industries. So I was now, everybody says I worked for IBM, I'm an IT guy. I'm not, because I looked at different industries, and now I was focusing a little bit on healthcare industry. So I
yeah,
have nothing to do with healthcare, except that I go to a doctor from time to time. But somebody, a mentee of mine, asked me, can you help me? I want to write articles about healthcare. And yeah, I did. And it was very interesting. It was very fruitful on both. In the end, innovation, taking in new opportunities and making something new is about connecting dots from different areas.
yeah,
If you can put AI in healthcare, there's a lot of things to think about, and on a lot of facts. Is it working already? Which AI tools are already in healthcare, which are not, and what I
yeah,
have hospitals doing? These are all interesting questions, even if
exactly.
I have nothing to do with healthcare. And
Yeah,
for yourself, so I found it always interesting, going to conferences, meeting people, extending your network, and volunteering, because then you meet a lot of other people, and yeah, and you also get a feedback, because as a volunteer leader, if you treat people not
mm,
wisely and good, they just walk away
exactly.
because they can.
All right. So, Thomas, this is for my side, like questions and so many questions I asked, and you passionately answer those questions. And I can see your passion of the subject, passion of your project management, and whatever you've done. So, and passionate about these podcasts. We've probably done around 60 plus podcasts together. And every time I talk to you, you are full of energy and excitement. So thank you for your contribution, ongoing contribution. Thank you. On behalf
Thank
of
you.
all the people watching today, I'd like to thank you because your contribution is definitely adding somewhere some value. You never know, I will not know, but we are adding some value.
Yeah. Thank you, Dharam, for keeping on with organizing these things, and for your team, for Kartik and all the other guys who in the background are preparing for it and putting it together and on YouTube. And yes, so we did more than 60 webinars now, and maybe I don't have a target, but though maybe we will celebrate the hundreds somewhere. Yeah.
Let's say when we meet in Berlin, we'll celebrate anyway, whether 60 or 65, 100, doesn't matter. Every time we meet is a celebration.
Yeah.
All
Good.
right.
Thank you.
So Thomas, thank you again, and I will see you again in next podcast. Until that time, take care.